Here we have the slab roller with a ball of clay on there. It's that kind of cylinder shape, about yay big. And now you can see, I'm gonna pound it down this side until it's a bit of a wedge shape. Put that right there in the center. Flip this canvas over the top and take a look at our settings. So my goal here is going to be about 1 centimeter, maybe a little bit thinner than 1 centimeter, but you can see that I'm starting at 2 centimeters. And now I'm going to use this knob to adjust to 1.5. So I'm still not to my goal. I'm doing this in stages. You can see I've got now a flattened piece, and I'm going to turn it. Turning it helps make sure the clay isn't weakened by always going one direction, and also gets you a nice square piece instead of just a long skinny strip. Final settings adjustment. It might take 2, 3, maybe 4 adjustments before you get it just where you want it. I'm going just a little bit thinner than 1 centimeter. Again. Alright, that will work. Right now I'm using the rubber rib to smooth out that canvas texture. And then I'm going to use this Tupperware as a kind of template to give me a rough idea of the size. I'm not cutting exactly around this, I'm just kind of using it as a guide. And then I'm using the fettling knife to go around the shape. Give myself some extra room here because I want a platter that is bigger than this Tupperware. So cutting off some of this excess clay. Got my shape here. I'm going to turn it over and smooth that canvas texture from the other side. I'm starting off the edge of the slab and pulling across, and I'm changing directions and just using a very light touch. Basically, it's just the weight of the rubber rib. You don't want to thin your slab out, you just want to remove that texture. All right. And now I'm going to take a piece of plastic and use plastic from our tub over there or any of the saran wrap, and I'm just draping that over the edge and then using my fingers to kind of run my hands over that edge with the plastic. You peel it back and you've got a nice beveled curve there that looks clean and neat. And now for this first one, I'm going to use this container upside down and with a paper towel draped over it. The paper towel is to keep the clay from sticking to the surface of your mold. Center that here. And then I'm just going to gently pat my slab over this mold, make sure it stays where I want it to be. And I'm going to come back and clean these edges just a little bit more. This slab is pretty soft, so it is kind of squishing maybe a little bit more than I would like it to, but that's okay. We'll work with it. Alright, and so just by using this mold like this, just a little bit, we're giving the slab some form, giving it some three-dimensionality as it kind of curves over the sides. And we can come back later and do some decoration on it to make it more visually interesting. any ideas that you want, anything that you've been playing around with. But one other piece that we should do right about now is the foot. So I'm going to take some of these scraps here. Roll a coil. Alright, so now there are a few things that I'm realizing that I'm going to need as I get to this stage. A slip scoring tool and a bat, so that we can make sure that this foot is nice and even. So let me grab those. This coil is getting pretty big, so I'm going to break it off. It's still kind of thick, so I'm going to keep rolling it. Starting in the middle, and I'm rolling evenly, nice even pressure out to the edges. And repeating that motion until I get the right thickness. So now I'm going to test this size here. You can see I've got a little bit of excess, but that thickness looks about right. So I'm going to pinch off that end that's a little bit too skinny. Curl this around here. Pinch that off there. So now the bat is to kind of test to make sure that your foot is nice and stable. So I can't tilt this at all, as you can see. If I had a foot that was more like this, maybe too small in there in the middle, then when I put this guy on, you can see it's a little more wobbly. So we don't want to use that one. And now this is where it's important to score your clay all the way around where that foot is going to go. Make sure you've got some nice good texture there, that you're really lifting up the clay, because basically here what you're doing is making like a clay Velcro. You want all those little pieces to stick up. And then you're going to do the same on your coil. Some nice scoring. My clay is really soft right now, so I don't need too much slip, but I'm going to dab just a little on there to make sure I get a nice adhesion here. Okay. So some slip, spread that on. Just getting that wet. Okay. Kind of spread a little too much right there, so I'm going to score again through it. That is the important part. And then this coil foot goes back around right where I have scored. And then I'm going to tap, 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 tap. Really seal it there onto the scoring that you did on both sides. You don't want to press too hard in one spot because you'll get kind of a dent, but you just go around and around with your hand. You get a nice even seal. And then I might take a modeling tool like this, clean that up, and press that foot into the slab just a little bit all around these edges so that it's really on there. It's not going to crack and come up as it dries. Keep doing this. Work all the way around the outside, all the way around the inside, so you've got a nice solid seal. Test with your bat again to make sure it's flat. Flatten it out a little bit. And then After you get this foot sealed on, you'll want to let it dry to the leather hard stage before you move on to the rest of your surface decoration. Alright, and back to this slab project, draped over this Tupperware. It's been drying for a while now. It's pretty close to the leather hard stage, still a little bit soft, but I want to take a look, see what else I need to do. So I can see there's kind of an indentation there and a bit of texture from the paper towel. While this is still fairly soft, I can smooth that out. So I'm going to spend some time working on the inside now that it has dried enough to support itself. This is not all the way dry. It's still not even quite leather hard yet. It's still a little softer than that. And I want to make sure that I take it off the mold before it dries too much more. As soon as it can kind of support itself structurally, I'm going to take it off this mold. If I leave it on a mold draped over the outside, as the clay dries, it shrinks and it can crack and split over that mold. So I want to be aware of the drying time here and make sure I take it off before it's too late. So I'm using the rubber rib to clean this up right now, but there's some little spots that I can't quite get to, so I'm going to go get myself one of our nice sponges and work with that as well. Got a little bit of water here. That's going much better. I grabbed one of these elephant ear sponges that are a little bit firmer for this job. I don't want to be adding a bunch of water. I want something that's just going to help smooth this out. As I work, I'm supporting underneath, opposite where I'm working, so I don't deform my shape here. Take your time with this stage. As much time as necessary. You don't want to rush this. Now, I'm just going to spend some time examining my work. Maybe do some upside down work again. Cleaning up some of those marks from where I attached that coil for a foot. Making sure my edges are nice and soft. And that all of that canvas texture is gone. And there we go. Still pretty soft, so I'm going to put it back over my mold to dry just a bit more.